Ready?
I'm good.
All right, here we go. Hold on. Let's do this again. Ready? And it's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Awesome new show this week. Lots of great stuff going on. The real estate market is rock and rolling. We're in that springtime market. So we'll talk what's happening. We have the overall brand new market numbers in, which is like what's happening each zip code, each area. And it's smoking hot. Myrtle Beach, for example, prices of 41%, which is crazy. So we'll talk, and that's just year over year. So we'll break down like what's happening, what's going on. We're seeing lots and lots of new properties going to contract right now, much more so than we've had the busiest 3 weeks we've had since July 1st of 2024. And again, that had to do with rates going back down. I think 6.68 it got to. Now it's right now they're still low in the high sixes, which is great. We'll talk about what's happening there, but still lots of buyers are moving. They're moving earlier rather than later. And we'll break down what's happening. We'll look at what happened last month, look at what happened going forward, and we'll look at what's kind of driving that and what's happening overall in terms of this spring market and kind of what to look for. Also, just a quick reminder, our investment fund, we're looking at properties here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area, cash. We have a huge fund with millions of dollars that looks to buy properties, residential, commercial. We're also looking to buy businesses. If you have somebody you know or a listener that are looking to retire, there's a lot of baby boomers right now who are looking to retire, particularly service-based business. If you know anybody, stuff like pest control, air conditioning, anything like that, our fund is looking to buy those. And so if you know anyone out there that's thinking about that, have them call me and say, hey, reach out to Blake, 808 Sold. It's something that we're really open up to and really looking to make sure we can go in, optimize. And that's something we're very, very good at with myself and a couple of partners. So anybody you know looking to exit their business here locally, definitely reach out and let me know. One thing, too, we'll talk about is, do you actually know what your home's worth? I had this on last week's agenda, just not have time to get to it. But in the last 5 years, the average price is up 60% across the country. South Carolina is even higher than that. We'll just talk about many homeowners are really kind of undervaluing what they think it's up, because it's almost unfathomable how much some properties have gone up in certain areas. And even with that, it's very pocketed. So, for example, if South Carolina had a huge increase, that factors in a lot of the rural areas too. And so if you look at areas like Myrtle Beach, had a much higher increase in prices. And so this is typically, if you look historically, they're up 2 or 3% per year. Right now, we're up almost 70% in the last 5 years, which is unreal. And so lots of people tend to leave equity on the table, which is why you don't want to do that. We'll share with you how you don't have to do that overall. Also, anybody looking to get in real estate, our team is looking to grow. Or if you're an agent already in real estate looking to add to our team, our goal is to get to 1,000 houses next year in 2026. We're putting that framework in. We have a real estate school. We have a scholarship for people that may want to be a part of that. We also, if anybody looking to get their real estate license, we've cut a deal where we basically give you 40% off the entire course. We don't make it really a dollar on it, but we just want to help people get in so we can help them grow. And obviously when they grow, regrow. So lots of great stuff we'll talk about today. Amazing success stories. Our team's absolutely crushing it, burning the candle at both ends because the busy spring market's here.
For any new listeners, just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Absolutely, Rick. And this is something I guess we were just talking about before the show. This is my 15th year doing the show here on the station. A long time. And guess what? It's the same problems that everyone has as I did 15 years ago. And I made a promise, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, after I started just beat my head against the wall, getting over and over the same problems. I was like, man, I made a promise just to talk about it every single show. And so if you think it sounds repetitive, that's on purpose, because the number one thing I battle with over and over and over every single day in this business is that consumers think that real estate agents are just a commodity. They think they're all the same. And I get it, because a lot of the agents are the same. The fact is, the average agent sells 4 homes a year in a marketplace, which is terrible. And if you look nationally, there's more realtors that are licensed realtors than there are houses for sale in the United States. That was a fact we just talked about in our office this past week. And so it's unbelievable. And so that's something that you think, like, for example, right now, there's 6,000 realtors in our local area. There's 1,500 houses for sale in Horry County. So that just gives you a breakdown of, like, there is a little bit of a commodity there, but the problem is they're not the same. There's a massive difference. And particularly, there's a huge gap between really good and average. And so that's one thing I just wanted to have, like, for this show, people to understand, like, look, this is your largest asset. You cannot gamble with it. You cannot just go with a friend. And here's the problem. I just shot a whole documentary, a 30-minute documentary. We're going to share parts of it on here. We're also going to have it on our main website here soon. It just talks about, like, people spend 15, 20, 30 years building a hard equity and 15 minutes picking an agent, and they don't even know how to do that, right? And I know that because I meet with so many people and they don't ask the right questions. The only question that they do ask is how much you charge, which is not the right question to ask at first. Obviously, one of the questions you want to ask, they don't ask things that are important, of like, how many properties have you sold? How many properties you sold in the area? What's your marketing plan like? What's your success rate like? How do you help me get me more money for my house? Like, all these things matter, but the reality is the single most important decision that you make as a home seller and even a home buyer comes down to one thing only. And the thing is, that's the agent you choose, because it's a service-based business, right? It's a service-based business, meaning it has to do with people and how they execute, just like a doctor, just like a lawyer, right? It has to do with that human and how much attention to detail that human has and how much care that human has and how much drive they have to get the result that you need in the process, right? Just to go to a restaurant, sometimes you have great experience, sometimes you have not so great experience. So I go to Wendy's here on 10th Avenue, I tend to wait about 20 minutes to get a hamburger, right? But if I go to a nice place, nice restaurant, I get great service. They're on top of everything, right? It's just one of those things that you have to understand. It makes a big difference in terms of experience, and also the experience you have as a consumer based on who you choose with that. And so what most people don't realize, when you're selling a property, is 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, it puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. And those are small things like quality of the photos, the order of the photos. Does the agent answer the telephone when a person calls? We just talked about that documentary, went through this data nationally where they called 316 real estate companies in different parts of the country. They made, I forget how many thousands of calls, but when they made thousands of calls, 48% of the inquiries, both telephone and on the web, got responded to. So 52% did not even get a response, which is crazy. So think about that. Your largest asset is out online. You're trusting, working hard, paying your payments, thinking the person's getting done. Meanwhile, the realtor's out playing golf. Somebody's calling them. Guess what? They don't even not just answer the phone. They didn't even call them back, which is crazy, right? And so this comes down to those variables. There's a lot of variables for one single person to actually execute. It's simply impossible for one agent to do 118 different variables on one listing. The problem is they have 5 or 10 listings. And so what they end up doing is beat you down on price and ultimately getting the price down enough for buyers just come to kind of tackle them to buy it and ultimately get it sold. But you don't realize when it sells that you actually left $40,000, $50,000 on the table of your hard-earned equity. And so that's what this whole show is about. And that's what I talk about with it. And when I got in the business, I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? It doesn't make sense for having one single person at the middle juggling 118 different balls. Just like that'd be like having somebody at McDonald's at the front register, the drive-thru and fries at the same time. Very, very, very inefficient. But for some reason, people will still listen to the show and listen to a friend of a friend of a friend who's delivering pizzas part-time and in real estate, right? You do not want that. You cannot gamble with the largest asset. You want somebody who's an expert, who's dialed in, who's obsessed with this and obsessed with getting your results. Just like if I'm charged with a crime I didn't commit, the last thing I want is some part-time attorney. The last thing I want is some cheap attorney. I want an absolute best attorney who's the most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law so that they can give me a competitive advantage in the courtroom. And you should demand the same level of excellence for your largest asset. And so when I got in the business, I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way. A lot of people did outside of real estate in different arenas. Looked at traditional brick and mortar businesses. I'm like, man, they run a much more efficient operation. They have people who actually answer the phones, who take the messages, who pass it on to the next person, right? People who actually go out and fix the air conditioners, right? The person who answers the phone goes and fixes the air conditioner, who gets the parts, there's not the same person, right? Who does the billing, like just not simply great for a good business. And if you do have the same person doing all that, guess what? Your experience is not very good. And so we modeled that, and I've created a system called the Guaranteed Sold System. It's the only proven system, sells twice as fast and for 21% more money than traditional methods, and it works very, very, very well. I designed it. We do license other agents, other parts of the country, but ideally, it's broken down to two main things. We proactively manage all the variables, so it's like stacking the dominoes. We create a small gap at point 1, small gap at point 2, small gap at point 3. You stack that up over 118. What it creates is a massive gap between us and the competition, and it's just like a marathon. Selling your property is a marathon, but what we do is we sprint through it. So imagine a shotgun start. You have the shotgun start, everyone starts running, and what you notice at the end is some people finish 2 and 3 hours ahead of everyone else through these small increments of differentiation. It's the same exact thing that we do there, and you owe it to yourself to at least investigate it. Anybody that we sit down with absolutely blows their mind, and it's something very, very special. I can't wait till we get the documentary up. We shot that so I can really help people and just tell you, hey, go to my website, it'll be on there. You can take a look at it in the future. And the same thing for buyers out there. Guess what? It's very difficult to navigate for buyers. The last thing you want is some part-time attorney, a part-time agent who's selling 4 homes a year, helping you negotiate and helping you find and navigate your largest asset when you're buying it, right? And so I created this thing called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gets priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, builder closeouts, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as the home inspection to get you that closing table successfully with the most amount of money in your pocket. And so if you listen to the show, you owe it to yourself to at least, number 1, check it out for yourself. Number 2, share it with your friends, because so many people have these horror stories and the stakes are so high because it is for most people the largest asset, and they have a swing there of $20, $30, $40, $50,000. And so if you want to know more, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. You can also go to blakesloan.com anytime. Take a quick break, right back in a second.
With every election, there are issues that directly impact your family's future. Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here, and the same is true for your real estate transactions. Now, when you sell your home, you need to speak to one of the agents right here in town that will get you the most money with the least hassle. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, knowing the facts when you vote and when you sell your home is always important. That's why you should check out the value of your home in today's market. When you know the accurate value, you are better equipped to make an informed decision with all the options laid out for you. You know, options like an instant offer, or lay out your timeline and take advantage of their guaranteed sale program, or just put it on the market and get more money than you expected. Just go to the website, find out your home's value in seconds. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And get your home's real value in today's market in just seconds, and then you can start packing.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, take cash for your home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time?
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
Work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Brand new market numbers in there all over the place and really good for some areas. We'll talk about 2 types of numbers really quick. I'll give you kind of some contrast, right? Remember we have the front windshield numbers. That's like what's happening real time. It's really what I use the most when I'm dealing with clients to help advise them on strategy. Same thing I do when I'm buying our personal properties that we invest with for personal, also the investment fund. And I looked at that's what's closed last 7 days. We also have the rear view mirror numbers, which is what the masses use in the industry. That's what closed last month. So right now I've been looking at what closed in February. The only challenge with that, if it closed in February, winter contract really in December or January. And so even some cases November based on the loan type and the cycle there. So we'll talk about that really quick. I'm going to get into the micro market numbers in a minute because huge gains in some areas. And the macro market for the entire Grand Strand wasn't that great in terms of sales. So we'll talk about what's happening. But bottom line, there's some huge money coming in. Looking at the windshield numbers, those properties that went under contract, started tracking this during COVID-19. It's been one of the most valuable things I've done because it helps me keep a pulse real time, what's happening. We have spreadsheets really for the past few years. And right now, if you look at the last 7 days, how many properties were under contract in the Grand Strand? 533 for 204,193,000. So anytime we're at 200 million, like I always say, the market's rock and roll. And that's typically summer numbers, like when everybody's in town, kids are out of school. And so that means with rates going down, lots of buyers who've been on the sidelines waiting for the past couple of years. If you remember, 2024 was one of the slowest years for real estate sales in 30 years. And so that's one of the things that you have to kind of look back and say, okay, all these people on the sidelines, they're waiting for rates to go down. Once rates go down, they're jumping back in like crazy. And we've been slowly seeing those come down, which has been great. Huge money, though. This has been the biggest story for me and my team, just talking about. Remember last week's show, we had a different $5 million house under contract. This week, well, another property, $5.99 million under contract in Myrtle's Inlet. It's actually on the point in Garden City, $5.99 million under contract. Another one in Devereux, $3.6 million. Two properties in basically Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet, the point down there, $1.6 million side-by-side properties, both at 1.6, both under contract, same time. 16 properties over $1 million under contract, 99 properties over $500,000. And I remember growing up, or used to be in the business here for 20 years, you would get like one house a year for like $4 million. Now we're getting $5 and $6 million houses every single week under contract, which is just crazy. And so it means a lot of big money coming here from outside areas. Not really sure who all of them are, but it's awesome to see, and great news for everyone who may own something like that, or obviously just for the area in general. Seeing a lot more smart business minds come here, a lot more money from outside areas, and it helps everyone's values continue to go up. Looking at active properties, we had a new record. We just finally passed 1,500 active single-family homes in Horry County on the market. Right now we're at 1,518. It's the first time over 1,500 really since before COVID. I didn't have time before the show to go back and look, but we're talking literally 6, 7, 8 years that since we've had that many active single-family. Because remember, during COVID, inventory went way down. Everybody's buying like crazy. And so that's just something we'll keep watching. Like last week's show, for example, it was 1,473. It is down in terms of new properties under contract. Last week's show was 570. This week, 533. That's because last week's show was on the heels of super low interest rates when it hit 6.64. We'll talk about where they're at right now. Looking at the rear view mirror numbers, like, hey, what closed? Single family resale homes last month, 2.3% decline. And so it's down 2.3% year over year, which is not terrible. That's the amount of sales. Prices up 1.3% at 385,000. Average sale price up 2.3%. Inventory was up a little bit. It's up to 4.6 months. That typically happens springtime. Like I mentioned, we just crossed over that 1,500 house number for Horry County, which means a lot of properties are coming to market. It's typical for spring market, right? We're hitting spring. It's getting warm out. People are getting ready to move, and you see that happen a lot. The average showing per listing right now gets 3.7 showings. The average amount of showings it takes to get a contract is 12. So you need really 3 to 4 times the amount of showings that the average listing gets. And it goes back to what I mentioned earlier when I talked about that, why you don't use a friend or just an average agent. They just can't get the amount of traffic needed right now to get a contract. And so, again, right now, the average listing in the MLS takes 12.1 showings before it goes under contract. The average listing, though, only gets 3.7. So you can see the math equation. You have to have someone who spends money in advertising to get the job done, right? So looking here, let's look at the micro market numbers. I'm gonna run through them really quick. It's the hardest thing to do on radio, but it's one I get the most feedback about. Check this out. Myrtle Beach area, 29572 and 29577. They tend to lead the charge typically on what happens in the market by a couple months. That's something to keep watching though. Sales for February up 19.5%. So last year, 41, this year, 49. Check this out though. Last month, prices up 41.6% from the same time last year. That's scary. So last year in February, median price 377 even. This February, 534. Like I mentioned, big money's coming here, driving prices up, unfortunately for some people, and fortunately for others. But that's something I've just been watching, right? You're seeing a lot of the oceanfront stuff go up. A lot of the avenues go up like crazy. So anybody at 29577, 29572, that's great news. Year to date, prices up 32% in Myrtle Beach, which is crazy right now, 535,000. Overall, average days on market right now to sell in Myrtle Beach, 149 days. It is taking longer. It's taking 17% longer to sell. And that's just something to kind of keep watching there overall. Looking at condos and townhouses, condo sales down significantly last month, down 23%. That's something we've seen the condo market, challenging right now based on HOAs, based on insurance, based on consumer confidence. A lot of things you're seeing there kind of hurt the condo market a little bit. Median sales price down 3.6%, so not terrible. Big significant drop, in sales with 23% decline. Inventory is up 17%. in terms of that. We've had a good success though getting condos sold. We actually just put under contract for 1.2 million in Myrtle Beach that we've been able to do, which has been great. And so you're seeing some of the high end still perform pretty well with that. North Myrtle Beach area 29582. Check this out. Sales down 23%. New listings up 52% last month. Prices, though, down 25.8%. So that's an interesting contrast, right? Myrtle Beach up 41, North Myrtle Beach down 25%. And so that's going to really break down per neighborhood and per what's happening. So, for example, last year, median price 657, this year 487. That tends to happen when there's new construction pockets, things happening in certain areas. Obviously, the more inland you go, the lower the price is going to be. And so that's just something you keep watching overall. And again, you'd break down your specific neighborhood. So overall prices aren't down that much. That's just kind of the flow of what's happening because there's less sales. So, for example, last year's 51 in February. This year only 39. Inventory is up a lot, up 67%. A lot more competition right now. Last year's only 182 homes for sale. Right now, 305. So that's something to keep watching overall. Condos and townhomes, sales are up, which is crazy. They're up 14% in North Myrtle Beach area, which is great. Prices down 2.5% from 302 down to 295. Inventory is also up 19.7% overall. Condos are taking 110 days to sell right now. If they do sell, I think there's a lot of them that don't sell, but the ones that do is 110 days. Houses right now in North Myrtle Beach taking 115 days right now to sell. Surfside Beach, where I grew up most of my life, sales up 10%, which is great. Prices up 10% from 380 up to 420, which is great news. Year over year, sales down though 41%. So last February was 41 sales. This year only 24. That's something to keep watching. The good news is prices still holding high with a 10% increase there overall. Inventory is up 20% in the Surfside area, so lots more competition there. And the average days on market for a house to sell is 120 days. So last year is 97, right now 120. It's up 23% from where it was. Not that many condos down there in that area. Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet, 29576. Closed sales up 7%, which is great. Prices up 8.6% at $455,000. And the average days on market right now for a single family home to sell in Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet is 120 days. So it's longer than most people think. And the reason I keep sharing those, as you can see a pattern there, is typically in the low 100s. And that's something we're seeing across the board right now as well. Little River, 29566. Sales down 46%, which is interesting. I think there's just a little bit less new construction than there was last year because a lot of it got built out. So last year, 67 sales. This year, 36. Prices down a little bit, down 10.5% from 391 to 350. And so if you see there's big swings, right? 20% drop in price in one area, 41% increase in prices in another area. That just shows why the micro market data is so important and that you have a realtor who understands how to use the data and how to break it down so you know what's happening. You don't leave money on the table, and that's super important to look at as well. The average days on market right now in Little River is 128 days, so a little bit longer there to sell. Obviously, not many condos selling out there. Loris and Longs, sales up 32%. Why is that? Well, everybody's building right now on Highway 9. There's lots of land to build on. It's easily accessible, and that's something you're seeing happen a lot as well. Median price is down 4.6%. Last year it's 295. Right now it's 281, and so that's something to kind of keep in mind. Inventory is up 6.7%, so not too bad overall. And the average days on market to sell a house in Loris and Longs is 148 days, and so keep that in mind when you're planning out. Obviously, we tend to beat that curve a little bit better, but it is something that obviously you want to keep in mind when you're talking about your strategy. Soxy area 29588, sales down 32% overall. Prices down 5.5% from 357 to 337. Inventory is up significantly, up 48%. So last year at this time in February is 209 houses for sale. This year, 310 houses for sale. So more competition, which means you need a better agent. Overall part here, average days on market, 111 days for the properties that do sell, and so it's significantly longer. Pawleys Island, Litchfield, sales up 11%, which is awesome. Prices down a little bit, though, down 10%. So last year it's 675,000. Right now it's 607,000. And the inventory also up, which you're seeing this across the board, right? Lots more inventory. It's up 19.8%. Last year is 91 houses for sale. Right now, 109 properties for sale. The average days on market there also very long, 142 days on market for Pawleys Island, Litchfield. Last one here, Georgetown area, sales up significantly. Obviously, it's a smaller market there, so it went from 13 to 24, which is 84% increase in February. Prices, though, down 28% from 425,000 to 305,000. And inventory is up 28%. The average days on market to sell a house in Georgetown, 29440, is 114 days. And so you see there's big swings, right? Both in prices and also in the amount of homes sold. And so it's important that you have some way of breaking down your neighborhood data. We have software that we built that reverse engineers the data. It looks at your exact neighborhood, or if you're not in a neighborhood, it pulls a radius around there, and it allows us to make sure we can see what's really happening in that piece. If you look at the overall macro market, like per zip code, some of those big swings just tend to be where this property is being built, where are things selling at right now. And it also depends how far inland. And so you always want somebody who can look at the data and really decipher it for you, help you understand. One thing really kind of driving right now the entire marketplace is interest rates. If you look at last week's show, it was 6.79. We've been bouncing around this last week. Right now we're at 6.78, which is still great, right? The mid to high sixes, 30-year fixed 6.78. A 15-year fixed mortgage is 6.23. 30-year jumbo loan 7%. Even on the dot, which is great. A 30-year FHA loan, 6.22, and a 30-year VA loan, 6.24%. And so we hit a 4-month low just last week, previous show, 6.64%. Hopefully we'll get back down there. Obviously some struggles in the stock market this past week, which obviously helped the bond market, which is why you see rates go back down. So a small window. We're really hoping that rates continue to go down. If that happens, you're going to see a frenzy come back in with more buyers. So if you're thinking about selling, you want to get your ducks in order now, reach out, call me earlier, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break, right back in a second with a Hot Buyers Alert.
Hey, WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck
3
and I
minutes.
both know exactly what to look for. Agent with the best tools
Okay.
in marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay.
Drop one spot.
That agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot Buyers Alert. My team and I work the ridiculous amount of home buyers. Look at my properties here in the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach area. Anywhere from $250,000 to $4.4 million. If you're thinking about selling, please call us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. So one thing we've been doing for a long, long time here is put our money where our mouth is. And the thing that we do that makes us different, we have a very unique business model, like I mentioned earlier. We have a team of specialists versus being a generalist, and we can outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. And the difference is like, hey, why should I call you, Blake, versus anyone else? Well, the difference is we have what we call buyers in waiting. We've already been spending 6 figures a month in marketing, getting buyers from all across the globe that are already looking to buy and ready to go before you list your house with us. So obviously, if we have buyers, we can sell it faster. And it's unique to us because we have a business model with 30 buyers agents, listing partners. So they're making calls all day, every day, about 16,000 phone calls a week. And they're matching up buyers to sellers. And so it's a huge advantage for home sellers out there. And so right now, active home buyers, we have 79,714 active home buyers, 79,814 active home buyers from all across the globe. I got Bill Hyman from Inglewood, Colorado. I got Michael Ryan from Providence, Rhode Island. I got Brandon from Myrtle, South Carolina. Kenneth from Little River, South Carolina. I got New Attleboro, Massachusetts, Cambridge, Massachusetts, all over. So if you're thinking about selling, reach out, call me, 843-808. So really quick success story. Kay owned a home in Myrtle Beach. Unfortunately, her husband passed away suddenly last year. She made a decision. It was time to move on and sell that, get to a new location to move on with life. Thankfully, big shout out to Kay. She's a longtime listener of our show here. She knew exactly who the only call to make and who to call first. That was us. Thank you, Kay. We came in. I designed a custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos. Within a couple days, had massive traffic, an incredible full price offer, netting her much more than she thought possible. We also helped Kay negotiate new construction deal. We got a fantastic discount in the price. We did a delicate dance of buying and selling at the same exact time. She moved on with maximum equity and has a brand new house. So if you wanted that same type of service, that same type of success, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. You can also go to blakesloan.com to get an instant cash offer, instant home evaluation, anything you need real estate related. Just always call me and do me a favor. Anybody you see this week that mentions real estate, say, call my buddy Blake, 843-808-SOLD. We'll see you back here at the same time next week.